Welcome back to Sixes and Sevens round 27 review. And as you can see, the Raiders won a premier since 1990. I'm bad at me, the Green Machine. The boys are back. The boys are back. I tell you what.
Good win, eh?
Oh, footy nerds. He's in for a cracker today. I've been up. I've trained. I've had an infrared sauna. I've jumped in the ice bath. This bloke's tried to attack me as soon as I got on the show about my hat. Reckons I've been in the sun because I'm in a different room because I'm not allowed out in the birdcage anymore doing the show. So come at me, boy.
You look like Joel Monahan, brother, or Michael Monahan. Joel or Michael Monahan. That's what, with that hat on. You're just red-faced. Obviously, now you've given me a reason for the red face. Jumping out of your 5-star deluxe resort in Queensland.
Temp therapy, just to give a little plug. So Temp Therapy is the ones that just jumped out of the infrared sauna, yeah. So
he's in Buckingham Palace there in Queensland. You got the pool, the 3 acres, the 6-bedroom house. Now you got a fucking infrared sauna, eh? And you're trying to act like life's tough. Jeez, he's good, this boy.
I never act like
this man.
I never act like life's tough.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it's not tough for you, little Canberra fan, is it?
Well, no, it's been a great week for me.
I didn't know that.
It's been a great week for me. And before we do dive into anything, on Wednesday afternoon, the Kebra boys beat PVC 11-9. Double extra time. What a crazy game of footy. And then on Thursday, Year 10s won also in the final minutes of the play, and our year open Bs got beat. But yeah, we're 2 from 3 so far. We've got 2 to go this week, and then we play the state final on Thursday.
Round of applause, Gabe.
Well in.
Very good, brother. Very good.
So it has been a great week, and then the Canberra Raiders top it off on the weekend, getting minor premiership.
So say it again. It was 1990 since they won the minor
1990 since the last time they won the minor premiership. Which
Wow.
was the year they obviously won the grand final too, in the 90s.
2019, what did they finish? There's a trivia question off the cuff if you're such a diehard fan. 2019, when they made the grand final, got beat by the Roosters.
They finished third that year.
Third.
Pretty sure it was.
Okay.
I don't follow all their games. I'm just a passionate fan.
I can tell. No, it's great news. Great news for Canberra. Fuck, I love Sticky after the game.
Sorry I wasn't spoon-fed in the streets of Balmain.
Goulburn's not Canberra.
No, it's not.
Were you riding the sideline like Ricky for Kebra, Toddy, or what?
Mate, I tell you what, I'll try and get footage of it and we'll post it one day.
Yeah.
We made a break from our 30 and I ran all the way to the trial line, full on.
Fuck off.
Yeah, I got carried away. I'm like following all the play down the field because there was like a few offloads, stop starts, and I'm in the back with just running behind them.
Can you go on the field any time?
Oh, within reason. I get chipped a little bit.
They send you off.
No, they don't send you off. They just, mate, you got to make sure you give them water. You got to make sure you're close talking to someone. You can't just go out and set up
Toddy
play,
starts
which I
calling
try
for
to.
the ball and shit. He gets that caught up.
Them days are gone, Gabe. Them days are long gone.
So what's the next? You play in Sydney now?
No, we play Kerwin this Thursday for the national state final. Then if we win that, we go to Sydney the following week, I'm pretty sure.
Wasn't this the state final?
No, it was the regional final. So like us versus PBC, then we play Kerwin State on Thursday for the
That's
state
Sunshine
final.
Coast, Kerwin.
Yeah, up further, North Queensland. Up further up there. So it's been good for the boys. Obviously, a few hurdles to jump, but hopefully they can bring it home.
Very good. Well, it's been a good week for you, brother. I'm just waiting for my baby. So I spent the last 3 days in hospital, all positive. Don't have to go into full detail, but it's all good. It's just obviously a chance of being induced a little bit early, the baby. She's fully grown in there and everything's healthy, so we're just waiting. But yeah, Mrs. was in the hospital just getting some checkups, all positive, as I said. But I thought it might have been last night. I thought the baby might have been last night, but we got another couple of days, got another meeting on Tuesday, and then I'm thinking it's going to be to late this week, brother, which is...
How do you go in the meetings when they speak, or do you understand fully French now?
I understand bits and pieces, but obviously my missus tells me the stuff I don't understand, but I can pick up a fair bit. I just can't speak it that well. I understand majority of it, but as you know, when they speak in like street French and it's all fast, it's fucking very difficult to pick up on. But I'm just excited, brother. I'll tell you what.
How's the Catalans going?
Sleeping patterns have been a bit off when you're preparing for a baby. The anxiety levels are up. Catalans got beat again last night. I didn't get to the game. Obviously, I've had the baby issues, but played Wigan. They had a young team out there. There was honestly half the cap was on the sideline and heap of young boys playing. So Wigan on the other. What are you smoking at?
Is it fair to say that all the star players rob the cap like it used to still?
It hasn't been a great year for the lads, but yeah, mate, the young boys on the weekend had a bit of a crack. But yeah, it was a tough old game against Wigan.
I have noticed. I think Sam Tompkins is your recruitment officer over there, eh?
Alex Chan.
Oh, Alex Chan, isn't it? Yeah, okay. I've noticed that this time round for next year, they've gone with seems like the younger tier players from over here. Ones that aren't at the back end of their career, ones that are in the sort of middle passage, obviously. They've signed Khalees Haas from the Titans, Toby Sexton. I read someone again the other day, he's only been playing reserve grade. So they haven't gone for that top-notch retired player. They've sort of gone for the middle ones that are sort of in and out of first grade or sort of find their feet. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes. Well, I like it because, as we both know, when you get over there and you use your time's done in the NRL, it can become very holiday mode. So hopefully,
it's always that argument, isn't it, over here? Like when you compare the two games, and then the quality of, everyone's always comparing the top end players back home. That majority of the time they seem to think that they're a little bit more advanced. Our top rep players, especially in their prime. And then obviously that second tier type of player, they sort of say some of the footy over here is probably a little bit below NRL, especially in the lower teams. So there's been that argument for 20 years, hasn't it, of sort of the comparisons between the two games. It's hard to pinpoint because some top-end players come over here and struggle with the different speed, and some guys that have played majority of reserve grade come over and find their talent when they come over. So...
yeah, I put my hand up. I put my hand up when I was over there that in parts of my time there, I adapted to it and played really well. And then in other parts, I struggled. I struggled to find a balance. Find a balance with running game, trying to organise, obviously, because when you go over there as a major signing, they expect you to organise, and that wasn't my greatest strength. I always still featured on running, and if I had someone that couldn't understand the way I wanted to play, or the game wasn't going my way, I didn't always have it my way. So, I was first to put my hand up over there. I felt like I struggled in some parts of it, not all of it. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge.
What you just said there's such a good point, because it's probably the same for Kibra or clubs in NRL that are recruiting players. It's a good topic because we see it in Newcastle at the moment. We'll go into them a little bit later, like trying to makeshift different halves, and we see all different teams in the NRL recruiting certain players in key positions, especially that are paid big money, come over with big expectation and expected just to do a job. But sometimes it's not their style of footy. So we see them not playing as well. And as experienced players or footy brains like we have, you understand the reasons, where a lot of fans aren't as nice. And I think you see that with the overseas game. Someone will have a big name back home. A club will recruit them, sometimes not knowing that their style of footy is not going to be the best fit for that team, or not change the style that club plays to suit the new recruit. And they don't have enough time to sort of adapt. Before you know it, half the season's done, and they haven't been able to showcase their best footy because the team hasn't been built around their best style of footy, or they just haven't fitted into what the team wants from them. So, yeah, it's a good subject in all recruitment, and it's the same in the NRL. You know, you see usually signings that fail are for that reason specifically. And you see the best clubs, best coaches, they seem to identify that. They know what they need. They're not going to go and sign a really good 6 and hoping that he plays 7, but really he's just a runner, knowing that's what he's going to bring. So, but we see this in every level, don't you? And it's such an important part of footy is that recruitment. And no, firstly for me, it's knowing the personality. You know, you can still be a really good personality in one game or one team, but not suit a certain other team. And secondly, it's the style of footy that they play and what they bring.
Fast forward the tape. Fast forward the tape to November, Mitch. Say that if you do end up in a role at the Catalans, what's the conversation like with Toby Sexton? What style would you play with for him?
Yeah, well, for me, I think Sexton's on ball half. But I think also, too, it's an important thing for Sexton, depending who his 6 is, how they play as well. I think Sexton is a great on-ball half if he's got a running 6 outside of him, similar to what he did with Burton, someone who can take the pressure, that yin and yang. So it's all well and good to play on the ball, but if your 6 isn't a sort of second receiver naturally, that might not always be the only option either. And then you can also play those different styles of, you know, splitting half the field. I think it varies a lot on who your fullback is as well in those type of situations. If you've got a fullback that's a dominant, dominant player that can get on certain, get on a couple of shift plays a set, that sort of changes the way you play as well. Or you've got a fullback who's more of a runner and just sits on the short side, well, that changes the way your halves play as well. But it's cool. We could talk about that all day. And it's such a good part of the game. And it's something that goes unnoticed in these teams that aren't playing as well. You spoke about Titans last week in detail about Josh Hannay taking over and how it's a real important job for him to get the halves pairing right and the dynamics right. I heard Joey speak about Newcastle. With whoever takes over as head coach there, same situation. They need to get the dynamics right. You can pay people all the money in the world. You're not going to change who they are or what they are. Just because you've got a big price tag and you've played good footy at a certain club doesn't guarantee you're just going to play good unless the team's built around your strengths. It's different if you're a back rower or centre, isn't it? Like a winger in today's game, majority of the good wingers will play good in any team. Majority of good centres, as long as they get the ball, will play good. But in those key positions, I'd throw in the 9 as well in that. 9 needs to be able to play his best strength as well. So it's a good topic, though.
Yeah, great topic. It's a great topic. It's because it's a lot of teams get stuck in those positions. They sign a player because they think they're getting what they've got. But if their structure doesn't actually suit the player they've got, you're not getting the player you want.
And for me, it's not a blight on that player either. Like, that's the thing. We're quick to bag players, and not us, but we were those players. We were the ones getting criticised as players, rightly so. It's an entertainment game. You're there to get applauded when you play well and criticised when you don't. It's part of the sport. But it's harsh on some players that it's not a blight on the player. That doesn't mean just because you go to a different system you're not a good footballer. It's just that system usually is not working for you. But as I went back to before, the best coaches, best systems in the game, they understand that. Trent Robinson recruits off the back of what he knows will work for his team. And if it's not the style that works for his team at the moment, when he comes to the club, they will play the style that suits that key player because that's how you win. That's how you play your best footy. Craig Bellamy's the same up there. I think the clubs that we see that linger down the bottom of the ladder, majority of the time are the teams, are the coaches or the systems that don't have the intelligence or awareness to change everything around what they've recruited.
Well, last week, I think, Toddy, you were even alluding to that with Manly signing Fogarty, right? You said they're going to need to change their game plan and cater to him when he gets there.
Oh, 100%, and I'm sure they will because they'll see the success that the Canberra Raiders had this year, and that's not all on the back of Jamal, but he's the glue that fixes that team together because he's got the great kicking game. He knows how to play the long game. He puts it in the right corner or the left corner when he kicks. Every set, he takes control. He takes pressure off young Strange. He lets Strange play his style of footy. his strangers a lot younger than Luke Brooks, very similar left foot, obviously a bigger body, does different things, but I see that happening for Luke Brooks. It will give him some time to just focus on holding the left side of the field and playing his style of footy. He won't have to worry about organising, doesn't have to worry about so much kicking because a lot of that will come from Jamal. And if you take that away, and that's not going to be all, is because if Luke Brooks tries to take that away from Jamal, you take Jamal's game away from him. So you need to give him that leadership and you need that ownership to take because that's his style of footy. He relishes when he's got the ball. He was doing it for years and years in Queensland Cup for the Burleigh Bears, and then played a little bit at the Titans, and then Titans would swap and change, and that's when he went to Canberra, and that's when he's had all his success because he's believed in. Ricky Stewart believes in an on-ball seven. Ricky was one himself, so he would have. And he's probably been one of the longest sevens that's been around with Ricky because he's adapted the way Ricky wants him to play. So when he does go to Manly, they have to play his style. Otherwise, you won't get the Jamal you signed.
I love what Toddy said just then as well about every player has their feel good. Like something that makes them feel good. And if you take that away from them, you're not only playing them a style that doesn't suit and bring out their skill set. You also go within yourself as a player when you're not feeling good. It's like a front rower who wants to get early touches in the game and loves to play one carry. Like I know you got to adapt, but every player has something about them that brings them into the game, that feel good. And if you're not getting that, or you're not empowering those players to do that, you're not going to get the best out of them. And it's such a good topic because personalities is more important than sometimes basing it on talent or superstars, isn't it? And the right dynamics. You can get, if there's a pick between two players, I'm going for the one that's got the better personality or the personality that suits your group more, for sure.
Very true, Mitchell. It's a great little conversation we've started. And at the start of the show, I said round 27 preview, but today we are here to talk about round 26 review. And like I said from the top of the show, the good old Raiders, we are back, baby.
I'll forgive you for your little fuck up there. I know your head's you're still in party mode from Canberra's win, so we'll let you go today. How many Fantas did you have while you watched that game, or Coca-Cola, or ginger beer?
Coke Zeros. I'm a Coke Zero drinker.
Ooh, they're good for you.
No, I don't really like ginger beer. Coke Zero is not too bad. I'll tell you what I did do a lot on the weekend. I've done heaps of lawns. To be fair, and I'm not going to lie to you, is that I didn't watch much footy over the weekend. I watched a lot of the highlights. So I commentated the Cowboys Broncos game. But apart from that, I was very, not anti-footy, I just...
Occupied.
Occupied. Me and Susie had a night together. Lion was away at my sister's, so we watched Sons of Anarchy all night.
How good.
So
who's the Scucks, the main actor?
Very quiet week.
Sons of Anarchy, the Scucks.
Jax Teller.
He's sexy.
All right, let's tap into round 26 review. And the first game of the weekend was the Canterbury Bulldogs 28 over the Penrith Panthers 4, and that was ching ching, my cheddar.
Fuck. It's hardly a win, that.
Did your cheddar win?
15 players. Who was my cheddar again? Dolphins. Yeah, we won. I'm pretty sure it was Dolphins.
I'll double check.
Had to be Dolphins. They fucking nearly lost.
You had Sharks.
Sharks.
Fuck. Yeah, here we go.
I think I was going to go Dolphins, and then I went,
yeah.
My Sharkies.
This was an interesting game, the Bulldogs Panthers one, because early on, I was obviously sitting there thinking, they're my cheddar, the Dogs. They're definitely going to win because Penrith had their whole team out. But early on, the line speed and intent from the Penrith Panthers was obviously shows from their system. We talk about a Penrith system and what they do and players they breed and what they want to come into their club. And they showed that early on because for the few stages it was only 10-0. And then all of a sudden, obviously, the Bulldogs with their experience went on with it. But it was good signs for obviously what's to come at the Panthers. That we weren't expecting to win. It wouldn't have surprised us. I guess the question for me, Mitch, is did the Dogs win convincingly enough for you?
Well, that's the argument, isn't it? It's one of those games, but sometimes when you're expected to win, we've been in a million of them. Maybe not a million, maybe 10, 20. It sounds better, a million. But, when you're expected to win those games, sometimes I don't think it's always the best radar for exactly where you're going. I don't think just because you win by 20 instead of 60, it's always a huge indicator that your wheels are falling off or you're not at your best to win a comp. I don't really rate it like that. Put it this way, they weren't that bad. They actually played good. They weren't exceptional and blew them off the park, but I thought they were good. And I think all they had to do was be good. Penrith always were going to come with effort and energy. Had heaps of younger boys on debut. So Dane Laurie was unbelievable. We'll give him a rap. That missed try at the end. The cutout ball on the short side was as good as you'll ever see. Jared Hayne in his prime, 4-on-4, whip.
He's unsigned also.
He'd be a good pickup for anyone. He'd be a good Super League pickup himself if he wasn't getting a start in the NRL. Talking about fullbacks, without jumping the gun to all the other games, it was a weekend of fullbacks. Iongi, I thought Kennedy was decent. Obviously, Walshy, Teddy, even Turbo, Trey Fuller. Some of the fullbacks on the weekend were out of this world. But Dane Laurie had a huge game in a beaten side. For the Dogs, I thought obviously Preston got 3 tries. Galvin had his hand in a few nice plays. I still don't think that they've fully found their niche. We spoke about not blowing Penrith off the park. There's still some teething issues there. I actually saw a comment from the great Andrew Johns, which is worth talking about for the Dogs. We spoke about the scoreline and not blowing them off the park. He spoke about the rotation of the 9 and then the lack of running out of dummy half. He seems to think, the way he put it, he seems to think that there's obviously a plan around just getting your halves the ball, because I think the little fella started 9. I've just had a mind blank.
They're starting
Hayward. Yeah. So Hayward came. I think Hayward had 2 carries for 8 meters, and then Mahoney came on the last 20 minutes. So there's always that argument going on at the moment. Why isn't he starting? Well, who's the better option? He came on last 20. I think he had no runs. The great Andrew Johns spoke about it and said he thinks that's their biggest issue, that they're not getting enough out of the ruck. He said the game's won now around the 9, and with the way it is now with the 6 agains and the speed of the game and the momentum swings, they need to get more out of there. They're relying too much on getting their halves the ball, which obviously mounts more pressure on Galvin as well. So it was just interesting coming from the 8th Immortal around the issue around their 9s. But look, they were good again. Like I said, I thought Galvin, without making everything click, individually played all right. Burton got himself a try. It was a nice, neat game from the Dogs, but it was expected, wasn't it? And there wasn't a whole lot of great edge defence from Penrith. A lot of younger boys there. They were definitely not at their best. So it's a hard gauge.
Mitch, you don't think this is telling? You don't think Dogs aren't contenders for a grand final after that?
I don't think they're going to win the comp.
No, they can't.
But I don't think anyone was going into this game. Well, I was just going to say
contenders.
That. Well, I don't think anyone going into this game, firstly, was thinking the Dogs would in the top 3 favourites anyway, just going off that. So I don't think it changed many people's thoughts, yes or no, just off that result. I still think they're around where most people expect. So it'll be interesting the next couple of weeks. Who's the favourites? Fuck, you could almost throw the Roosters in there now. We'll get to that later. But for me, it's going to be bouncing the ball.
That's the thing, okay. We can say that on this week's performance. Last week they got beat by Parramatta.
That's what I was going to say. So it'll be bouncing the ball.
It can't be on week in, week out form or what you've done in the previous week, because that eventuates to nothing. It needs to be what's gone on over a bigger period, the teams that's won games. But then I look at Penrith. I think they're a dark horse. I look at the Broncos. They weren't great against the Cowboys, but they got the job done. the Raiders continue to win. But can they do it?
Raiders, for me, are the most consistent. And I reckon they got the most... They're the best team that can adapt. It was actually talking about them and who's going to win. And Sticky's press conference after the game about the ruck and how slow the ruck is. And he basically just said, if you want to ref it he was testing the refs. He said, if you want to ref it like that, we'll just change our style of footy. Basically saying we'll play a shit boring style of footy and you won't like that either because the fans will be pissed off. It was a good little throwaway line from Sticky, but it's the truth. He's like, if you want to fuck us with the refs, we'll just change how we play. How many other teams in that top 4, if you had to change how you're going to play, would beat Canberra? I don't think anyone.
No, not at that long game. If they can get in, if you can get in an arm wrestle with Canberra's middles and their offloads and then their outside backs, they're dangerous. We'll dive into them before we leave this one. You mentioned about the fullbacks. Are the fullbacks going to be becoming more influential than, say, 6s and 7s?
I think they're more influential than some 6s. I still think your 7 is still your main man. Because I think the fullback's only as good as the half, on-ball dominant 7 that can get him back on track, who can game manage. He frees that kind of guy up. I think they're both as important as each other, but I don't think you can say the fullback is more important than a controlling 7. But I definitely think a good fullback and 7 can sort of overpower a 6 in some teams or get by.
It's a great lead into the next game, isn't it? Because Mitchell Moses and Iongi on the weekend were outstanding. Eels 26 over the Warriors 22. It was just, and we keep talking about it, and I'll touch back on the conversation when we sat down with Mitch on the couch. His game is gone, not one level, he's gone 2 levels. We've seen it in Origin. We've seen what he done last year in the Origin series, what he done this year in the games. It's gone to a new level, but it's gone to a new level that he's in control. He seems like he's in control all the time. He's not fazed by who they're playing. He's not fazed by the scoreboard or the time of the game or what's happening in the game. He just sticks to what he knows he can do and what he does best. And a lot of it's coming just on the back of his kicking game.
You know, the thing with, and going off the podcast, and me and you spoke about it after, and Mitch kind of admitted it, which was like hats off to him. He kind of owned where he was at, how good a career he's had, and then exactly what he's going to do. And as we said, hats off to him. He's doing everything he wanted to manifest. So, huge respect, Mitch. But the biggest thing that he was sort of getting across in that podcast was learning tempo and composure. And that's pretty much the way he's playing. Like you said, he's owning the long game, but then he's not missing his short game moments, is he? The amount of short balls he plays to back rolls and then supports or, a front rower, while he's organising play, a front rower finds a nice little tip on when he's sort of 10 metres back. And he's the first one there in support. Similar to that one when Junior Paulo popped the offload and then Iongi's unbelievable speed for that try. But it's very difficult. We just spoke about different roles between 7 and 6. It's very difficult to be the organiser and be worrying about the last play, but then also to be able to be on those small moments, which is small moments for footy nerds is support play and taking a short side when you see it. Instinctive plays, it's very difficult to do both. But he's doing it. And we spoke about just before, it's composure that he's doing it with. It usually makes most of us halves erratic when you try and play like that. So it's obviously a credit to the system too. I've spoke about Nathan Brown. I reckon the coaches have put a good system in place for him so that everyone knows their roles so that he can kind of come in and out. But, fuck, man, he just makes such a difference. I just love the way Mitch plays with his
control then.
Energy.
His control then, obviously, he's got Josh Papali in the 6 and then Isaiah Iongi at fullback. It gives him control of 2 blokes that can actually attack. So he's the middle piece of the puzzle every time. Obviously, they pop up both sides of the field when they want to. They're not going to overshadow Mitch's or overpower him to want the ball. They let him sort of go with what he wants. And and they just play second fiddle to that. And it suits them. And then obviously on the back of Mitchell's kicking game, you've got blokes like Lomax. They had Russell back on the weekend, Josh Adokar. They just steam down there, and as soon as the players catching it, they're either hitting them when they catch it or they're actually going up for a contest, making it difficult. But also, it doesn't make it difficult too. It makes it hard to catch, and sometimes the ball ricochets out. It upsets their set starts. It gives them no time to adapt and get back into it. They just got to – their play one carries whoever they're playing against is a tough one. And it showed on the weekend that it puts so much pressure on teams. The only thing with Para at the moment, when other teams get the momentum and start to find a little bit of joy around the ruck, find some quick play, the balls, play on the front foot instead of on the back foot from Mitchell's kicking game, they do get some joy, and the Warriors got that on the weekend. They found a bit of form at the back end of the game. The game went probably 5 more minutes. They clinched that game. And I like that from the Warriors. Obviously, they didn't win the game, but the positives you take away from that game on the weekend is, okay, we need to work out how we're going to be on the front foot. We're coming into finals in 2 weeks' time. We've got to discover and work out when we don't have the momentum, we're on the back foot. We need to work out how we change it real quick. Otherwise, we're dead and buried. But if we can get the joy of getting on the front foot and letting our blokes play through the ruck and then outside A and B and then kick out to C with their halves the way they play square, blokes like Halasima and that coming through the middle, you can't handle them. You physically can't handle them if you're on the front foot. Roger out the back, Pompey. Yeah. Like when they're on and they've got momentum, they're a hard team to beat.
What do you think when you said got momentum, what do you think from the form when they were showing for that good period? They obviously lost Metcalf and they've obviously had Egan out in periods. When you said getting on the front foot, you just spoke about all the play the ball, leg speed that they got. Like, if you looked on paper, you'd think that they get a quick play the ball every play with the leg speed that they got with Pompey, Tuivasa-Sheck, Halasima, and all the middles they got. What do you put that down to? Is it been their possessions, completion rates have been down? Or do you just put it on the back of the length of kicking game?
It can come down to the length of the kicking game, or it can come down to the work you're doing in defence. Like, just because they can find quick those play the balls and momentum from their carries, but it's got to translate that into defence. They're a young system. They're a young group of players. They might not have learned how to control the ruck as good as, say, in a Roosters team or a team that's like the Raiders, for instance. They don't, but they know how to find momentum when they carry. But if they're doing too much work and the other team's getting just as much momentum as and when they're carrying the ball, and then on the back of a Mitchell Moses kicking game, what you've seen on the weekend, opposed to going tit for tat with them and then they're not finishing their sets where the Para team was. But when they got that joy, I just like how Tavita Harris and
Boyd.
We've just had a mind blank.
Tanner
Boyd. When they go to work and they've got space and they're moving, they're dangerous because they're having a dip. He was digging the line, playing nice and early, direct out the back with shape. When they've got their shape, they're actually a hard team to handle, which nearly brought them back into the game. And then when they start to get that momentum, the freaks turn up.
They shift well from longer percentages. Like, you look at the try, I think it was on the left, Pompey offload to, I've got a mind blank, the left winger. That was Roger, I think. Roger. RTS.
Yeah. Roger's left
They shifted from like 70%. So they had joy the week before, especially that left edge. They got a couple of tries first half. One actual unbelievable tackle from Mitch Moses on Harris DeVita. It was fucking, did you see that? It was a one-on-one. Harris DeVita was over for all money and Mitch just got underneath. It was unbelievable tackle. But that would have got him even too. That was early in the game. That would have got the Warriors back even. But it was all on that left edge. So they had the try from sort of 50 or right post, 50% shorter percentages, and they've had a fair bit of joy over the last few weeks to that left edge. Boyd playing really square. The ones I liked from that 70%, a bit wider, and they get Pompey on a tunnel ball really wide. So the footy there's all for him.
Yeah, it gives him time to move.
Gives him time to move. He carved up the Dragons. I think he got a double, Pompey, every week. It's just for them, as you said, if they can control field position and their defence is steely, They just need to find their best players one-on-one, and that's your Halasimers, Pompey, even Harris DeVita one-on-one with his footwork. Obviously, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. So you can see him pulling the pants down to some big teams if they win possession and they've got their best players one-on-one. But I still think they're a little bit off the big dogs. But the way this comp is, as we said, they're every chance. Anyone in that top 4 or 5 is any chance.
One team that's sitting 8th, one team was sitting 3rd on the weekend. 10-0 half-time. Roosters come out and wallop 40 on him in the second half. Roosters 40 over the Storm 10. I actually turned it off at half-time. I thought the game was done. I was nodding off and I was like, oh, I'll wake up tomorrow and the Storm have won. Fucking bullshit. 40 points in the second half.
And Melbourne were playing decent.
It's madness. Melbourne was
nil
good.
all
That's
after
why I
20
turned it
minutes.
off.
0-0 after 20 minutes. I think it was 12-10 with about 25 minutes to go. Was it? 12-10. And then it was just fucking that right edge. I don't know. I watched back a couple of times on the highlights when we were prepping for this show. Obviously watched it live and then watched back on the highlights. But that right edge, I was confused whether Munster, it was obviously Munster, the great Cameron Munster, defending on that left edge as well. But they were like in all sorts, the left edge for Melbourne in that last 20 minutes. From midfield defence to goal line defence. There was 1 or 2 there where I looked where one of the front rowers got caught at 3-man and they got their pants pulled down on one of Marky Mark's tries. But the rest of the time they had their half, centre and winger in perfect positions and they were just passive as fuck. It was really confusing, really un-Melbourne-like. There was a few times there where they had there was a front rower that got caught at 3-man on one of the Marky Mark tries. It might have been Rob Toyer's one of them. But majority of them, they had the perfect defensive positioning, you know, back row, 5'8", centre, winger. And they were just in all sorts. I don't know what you put it down to. Full credit to the Roosters' attack. I thought Sandon Smith played his part for the whole 80 minutes. He added a fair bit of X factor in and around there. Him and Hugo combined really well. But, yeah, man, that right edge was just... Last 20 minutes was just an onslaught.
An onslaught. It's not so much save their season because there's still games to be played, but it's helped their for and against from the weekend. It's actually nearly put them in a position that they won't miss out on the 8th. They'll finish 8th with how it looks. Could finish 7th depending what happens with the Panthers on the weekend. But it was so important. The importance in that game for the Roosters was crazy because obviously the Dolphins won on the weekend, Manly won on the weekend, but the for and against difference is now gone to like it's 60-something. So one, they've obviously got to win on the weekend also, but it was madness, and that's why the competition's so wide open. Going into the weekend, everyone was still saying Melbourne are the team to beat. They're premiership threats, and they're still a premiership threat. But if you wait 2 weeks out from finals footy and you're getting 40 put on you, yes, they had Harry Grant out, yes, they had Coates out, and they've had some players missing. But can this happen 2 weeks out from final series and still be a threat?
I don't think it affects Melbourne that much. Like, I mean, I reckon I'd have to look at it year by year by year, but it seems it was even happening when we were playing that sometimes your biggest successes at the back end of the year, a couple of rounds out, sometimes you do have a little slip up. You know, I know the year we won in 13, 2 games or 3 games out, I think we lost back to back, and then we won the final one to get minor premiers. But I remember there was not crisis meetings, but it was like, and sometimes you just need that little rocket up your backside. So I'm not writing Melbourne off by any means, or I'm not thinking that this is going to be I'm not thinking this is a huge issue, but it was more of just as a spectator watching, it was confusing because they're an edge that's normally rock solid. It was rock solid for pretty much 60 minutes of the game. It was just confusing that it went pear-shaped. And, yeah, it was good attack by the Roosters. Full credit to them. Beautiful attack. But it wasn't like anything fancy. They had numbers most of the time, and the Roosters just pulled them apart. So, as I said, though, full credit to the Roosters. It was just unbelievable footy. And Tedesco is just an animal. He's in everything. I feel like he's gotten busier. Like, he's always busy. But from minute 1 to minute 80, he's on every play. Whether he's supporting, whether he's playing short sides, whether he's out the back, whether he's taking those play 4 carries and yardage. He's just in everything. And Hugo Savala was good again. He was real good again. Steady, coming up with the right plays. And then you can talk about Marky Mark.
Is Teddy on the plane to England, you reckon?
Forever. Yeah. Oh, but who's in front of him?
Marky Mark?
We'll go through it then. But who's Teddy going to be in front of?
Well, it'll be Edwards and him.
Well, Walsh, Hammer.
Reece, Hammer. There's heaps of fullbacks. There's heaps of players obviously can fill different positions. I'm not even sure how many they take, but yeah, he's definitely the form fullback in the competition at the moment.
Marky Mark.
He'll win the Dally M.
Teddy will?
I reckon.
Yeah, he would have got...
He'll go
He's
close.
not man of the match every week, isn't he? Yeah. Fuck. Unbelievable. Well, Marky Mark's a chance for sure, but there's obviously all the Origin wingers that you'd think are obviously in front of him. Oh, fuck, how good's he? First year of rugby league,
it's unbelievable.
Too. Yeah. He's just...
They had to change the bloody Rookie of the Year rules just so he didn't get it. Just because they're like, well, he's kind of a professional athlete already, so we probably shouldn't give it to him because he would have it hands down.
What's the rule? Why isn't he... What's the rule with the rookie?
Just because he's been a professional athlete already, pretty much. In another code.
Bullshit. That is bullshit.
Yeah.
Why does that matter? He's still playing the game this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you reckon Jerome Hughes and Harry Grant are obviously big losses? They're obviously big losses. Do you reckon that do you put that the wheels falling off back down to them not being there, the game managers? There's one for you. Work that out.
Well, yeah, there's a debate or an argument about anything. When you got probably your 2 best players out in any other team, any other team that has their 2 best players out, you write them off. But Melbourne seem to be able to handle it when their star players are out. So when you look at it that way and you go, okay, well, we're coming up against the Roosters team, and say, for instance, it's the Panthers this weekend, and it's not even their game to play the Roosters. Say if the Panthers playing the Roosters this weekend, and all of a sudden Isaiah and Nathan Cleary drop out of the team, Roosters win by 50, or Roosters win
100%.
Like, so, yeah, there's a debate. Yes, when your 2 best players are out, it can cause an upset or cause that to happen. But they've shown in previous weeks that they've handled them players being out. And you said it was uncharacteristic that the left side defence was the one coming up for the tries league down their side, which usually they're rock solid. That doesn't require Jerome Hughes or Harry Grant to be there. So something went on the weekend, but I'm sure they'll fix it. Bellamy wouldn't have been happy this week, and they would have been getting drilled from pizzle to post. One team that was happy this weekend was the Canberra Raiders, 24 over the Tigers 10 to seal the minor premiership. I'm sure Ricky would have the boys locked back into game mode for this weekend so they can continue to finish the season strong. But what about the hit on Ethan Strange?
Skelton.
From the winger.
What's he made out of?
Hey,
He's a gun.
have you seen him in his shirt on? He's made out of granite.
No. Is he related to Skelton that plays for the Wallabies? The prop or number 8? I don't watch Union enough. There's a Skelton plays for our Wallabies, the Australian Rugby Union. Skelton. I'm just curious if it's his brother. There's a bit of homework for you. I just always wonder when I see him play and his same last name. It's just one for the...
We weren't talking about Skelton. We were talking about Strange and the hit he got put on.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, Skelton's the one who put the hit on him, so isn't that Skelton?
He bumped him off.
Came off second best.
Fuck, it was a good hit.
Mate, what about he just bump up and then continue to start running?
He almost should have been allowed to start running, I think.
Oh, mate, he's
I don't know if that's a completed tackle.
Tigers were good. I mean, first 20, it was a grind. No points. 12-10 at half time. I'll tell you what was a big moment in the game before we obviously went to pump up Canberra, Toddy, so just wait. But 18-10, Fanu drops the ball over the line and that was game over then. Ethan Strange ends up going down probably, 10, 15 minutes, 10 minutes later and scores under the post, and then it was game over. But at that point at 18-10, if he grounds that ball, I'm not saying they would have won, but it was a big turning point.
There's a comeback,
game, worth highlighting. There was a comeback, and the Tigers were decent. Obviously going to be able to pump up your Canberra Raiders, and rightly so, but I just wanted to give the Tigers a little rap against the best team in the comp. I thought they played some good footy, as they do. I thought that left edge was impressive. Buller, again, was outstanding. Jerome Luai was busy. His try to Skelton was an impressive one too, on that right edge just before half-time. But, yeah, Canberra too good, brother. Too good. Can play all different styles. Canberra's Zach Hoskins and the big red Horsburgh were outstanding. Their middles.
How good's Horsburgh going?
Is he going?
No, freak. They just got, as you said, and it's the style that they play with their offloads, they've just got the perfect body type for the modern game. Tall, rangy, but well-built back rowers that have got footwork and an offload and can hit holes. And middles that can get your big metres out of yardage close to 200 metres, can offload, are mobile, and can score tries close to the line. It's the perfect dynamics for a forward pack for the modern game. And that's the difference, isn't it? They've obviously got the footy. You can go into their outside backs. You can go into Fogarty and Strange. They got the team. That's why they're the minor premiers. But you're nothing without your forwards, and you're nothing without speed out wide, and you're nothing without the halves, and they've got it all, brother.
We touched on at the start of the show. Yeah, we touched you're nothing without the milk. They look like they're on the Canberra milk. You're nothing without any of those things you said. You need all the pieces of the puzzle, but the big piece of the puzzle, and it comes down to that composure and what he does for the group, and is Jamal. He's consistently... You watch him at the back of the plays, he just consistently, when it's play 3 or play 4, it's like, get here, I need a kick to get us a chance to go one more set at him and continue to build pressure. He knows how to build pressure because he knows what he's got in his artillery with the forwards, the offloads. When there is an offload, they play footy, but then he knows how to pull it back when it's not going their way and they need to find something, and he just turns it with his kicking game. But I just think, obviously, they've got something going down there because they've finished minor premiers. They're on the trajectory of winning the grand final if they continue to push how they are. I guess for me is, what's Canberra's weakness going to be? If those things don't work for them.
I think there's not many weaknesses, but if you're asking me one thing, it's allowing the opposition too much of a jump start on them. And you've seen them plenty of times come from behind. But it worries me in a big game. Traditionally in big games, finals and grand finals, it's hard to come from behind. And it's just, as I said, they don't have many weaknesses for me, and they can play different styles of footy. As Sticky said after the game, you want to slow the ruck down, we'll play a fucking boring style and we'll still beat you. If you want to defend tight in yardage, we'll just use our centres with Tomoko and Jed Stewart, Savage, and fucking pull your pants down out wide. You want to fucking shut down our halves, we'll get our big middles to play offloads and late footwork and start playing ad-lib on you. That's the mentality that they've got. That's the style that they can play. But, yeah, I just think their only Achilles heel may be if they allow a team to get a jump start on them. Because they've done that a bit this year.
Just basing off the couple... not this round, just before, where they versus the Panthers, it looked like Fogarty had shaky legs when he was taking that conversion. A lot of pressure, and he missed it, and they ended up having to go to the golden point there. But that probably plays a role in, coming into finals as well. Just been a while since they've been there and managing the pressure. That's where your Panthers and your Storm have a huge advantage over nearly every team here.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
Yeah, well, the experience in big games is going to always fall on the Panthers and Melbourne because they've been there, done it. Even when the Roosters slip in there, they've won grand finals. They've got some players that have played lots of representative football. But I think with Canberra, they're unfazed because Ricky's instilled that grit down there that come at us with whatever game plan and we'll combat it with what we've got. we'll bring our baseball bats if we have to. That's what Ricky's mentality is, I think, for Canberra at the moment. They're happy to go in the grind and happy to play footy.
I think the thing with Canberra too is that you spoke about like letting things get to you, but I reckon the younger boys that they got are fearless anyway. Like that's what it comes across like obviously grand finals that the microwaves turned up.
They're unfazed.
A whole different. Yeah, it's a whole different level in those huge games, and we won't know till they get there. But yeah, I reckon they're unfazed. They're the new breed of the way the world is now in rugby league. I
reckon they can adapt to the pressure cooker.
Fearless.
Well, they can adapt to the pressure cooker is because they've been in games this year where they've had to fight for it. They've had to claw back from points down. They've had to get gritty in different parts. So yeah, they're capable of doing it.
The bookies have Raiders sitting second favourite for the grand final. Storm still favourites by a decent margin.
Yeah. Storm's defence.
We don't always listen to the bookies, Gabe.
No, but I'm just saying what the consensus is. It's interesting. I mean, I'd probably, Raiders are they your tip for the grand final, Toddy? Like, have you got them above the Storm at the minute?
My tip for the premiership, if it wasn't the Raiders, is the Panthers. Over the next game of the weekend was Manly 40 over the Dragons 24. How did you see this one playing out?
Yeah, it was all Manly. I thought DCE outstanding. Going to his period of 3 tries late in the game a bit in a minute. But yeah, I thought Manly were too good again. It was a Manly that we've expected when they're on, scoring from midfield. That left edge again. Kohler, his try once again. Mate, he is fucking unbelievable. And it's off nothing.
Give him the ball.
It's off nothing. We went into detail. I think Gabe asked you last week and you went into detail, Toddy, about how to get him the ball, and they must have listened. Midfield shapes. Anytime there was a bit of passive defence on that right edge from Dragons, they just got him the ball. Turbo was influential again. He had a couple of little nice line breaks for tries. I think he set up Cherry for one. But yeah, Kohler just too big, too strong. And his tries are coming from like, he's breaking tackles and then a turn of speed off the mark is... There's not many players in the game that can do it, that turn of speed. Not only have the power and strength to fucking throw someone off, but then also to like hit and spin and then take off. Mate, he's unreal. So he was unbelievable again. But yeah, I just saw it. Dragons showed glimpses in periods. King Tonga had nearly a try of the year. Bit of magic down that left edge. Linked up with Gutho. Found himself one of the tries of the year. That'll be on the highlights there. Season, what do you call the end of the year? You fucking...
Presentation night.
Prezzo night. They'll get a start. That was one of the highlights of the game. Helen Gahu, I thought was really good on the left edge. They used him quite well. He had his hands free on a few occasions. Good late footwork. But, it was all Manly. I thought Corey Waddell was impressive. He's a good footballer, Corey Waddell.
Yeah.
He had a good, decent few games at the Bulldogs. Had a good... Anytime he's played for Manly, he's played well. He got his 2 tries on the weekend. But yeah, it was Cherry, whether he was passing. He had a nice pass to Tommy Talau, I think it was. He scored one himself, and he had a hand in 2 of Corey Waddell's tries. So don't write the great Cherry Evans off. He's got more footy in him. And as we say with Manly, like it's just one of those things. They've obviously got themselves... Well, they've probably not a chance now, are they? Because Roosters will take that spot.
But, yeah, they took it.
But close enough where little too late for Manly. It's a bit of that what if, like when they're on, they're on. Fucking front foot footy with the speed and power they got and the halves they got. They're on. But it wasn't to be, brother.
No, it wasn't to be.
Disappointing, I thought.
Yeah, Dragons will look back in this year and be kicking themselves the games they could have won. Same as Manly. They've left their run too late. The last 2 weeks have been really good. But you can't rely on being good here 1 week and bad the next week and then think you're going to play finals. And they'll come close, but they'll probably come down to for and against, depending on some results this weekend. But teams will be kicking themselves that they haven't made the 8 and Wish things could have went different in different places, but as you said, it's good to see the form they're showing. Obviously, for the Roosters signs, there's all that talk about DCE, but he showed the last few weeks the old dog's still got some tricks up his sleeve. Over to our next game, Saturday night, was the Broncos 38 over the Cowboys 30. This was a Reece Walsh show for good and bad. He come up for a few errors, but come up some few great individual plays. I think he had 4 try assists, 5 errors, but it's a hard one because I was commentating this game live. I sort of said to the crew, do you reckon anyone's ever sat down and asked him why he throws that pass or why he doesn't just hold it? And then you sort of think about it and you put the question in the context. You go, well, if you take that away from him, you take away his whole football. He plays what he sees, and it's scary sometimes, and it creates errors sometimes. But when it comes off, he's dangerous. For me on the weekend, the difference for both teams was the centres for the Broncos. Gabe Shimazaki and Katoni Staggs have been unreal. Obviously, we've seen the rise of Gamet this year, but Katoni Staggs over the last month, he's been the form centre of the competition. And on the weekend, he was outstanding again.
Mate, what about that being live at the game? Was that not forward, that fucking pass to Walters?
Yes. At the end.
How is that not a forward? How are they not calling that forward?
Well, the ref wasn't there. The ref wasn't there. Up close enough, he'd gone through. Yeah, I thought it was forward, but they missed a few. They always miss a few, and that was definitely one of them. But obviously, yes, the score in the end, 38-30, it played a big part of it. But on the weekend also with the Cowboys, obviously talking about them, they didn't get the win, but it showed glimpses that they can play football. But like we've always said, it's the question of how they consistently do it and consistently give them enough freedom to play their style of footy. Because when they don't, it's just a waste.
You speak about that looseness of Walshy. That last couple of minutes there where, just to close the game out, he skips overs, throws a fucking ball. Who went through? Was it fucking someone? You know that? Do you remember right at the end of the game? He's just fucking skipped overs and thrown a short ball. Like, it was almost like they were trying to chase points. They're up. Like, that's what you get with him, though, don't you? You know, they make an error there, and Cowboys pick up a loose ball. You're sitting there pinching yourself, going, "Fuck Walshy," but mate, he's so good to watch. And there's something different about him the last few weeks. Ever since he scored that try where he just burnt the fullback, I think it was last week or the week before, and he had that man of the match performance. You know, within those last month or so where he's been killing it, his touches and speed. There's a spring in his step, and you take the errors with him, like you said, because the stuff he comes up with is creating so much. Shibasaki's benefiting off it. The big fella in the centres is fucking Staggs. Staggs been carving up off the back of Walsh's short side raids. So he's opening all his mates up. I think he needs his mate Renault back, though, just to steer him back on track, give him a bit of direction with the kicking game. And I thought Benny Hunt, the great Benny Hunt, is still better at 9 for me. He can play half, no doubt, but I still think they need Renault in the big games just to get him back on track.
Would you play
as long
Billy
as
Walters
they play
at
the
6?
same style? Yeah, I reckon Billy would go well there. He's been going.
Would you
really
leave
good.
Billy at 6 when Reynolds comes back?
Yeah, I'd keep Billy there and put Benny Hunt at 9. We spoke before what Joey Johns said about the Dogs, about getting that penetration out of 9. With the pack that they've got with Payne Haas and Carrigan, a Benny Hunt off the back of that out of 9 is, I think, a better balance for that group.
It's nice to see big Payne Haas cause havoc through the middle and score the try under the post. Because we've had, obviously since Origin, he's had the bad back and then he's been cooked the last few weeks. And this week on the weekend, I think he had over 180 metres, had some fucking terrorising runs. That try he scored was only something he can do around the middle of the ruck. But yeah, I thought the Broncos, I've liked their improvement over the time their halves have been out. I said it from the start, but a lot of people were worried about it. It's obviously given Reece Walsh a new lease on life because he gets to play an expansive style of footy. He gets to try things. He gets the ball in his hands a little bit more than you usually would when Renault and Ezra play. So it's been good for them. And I guess for now is how when they come back, or if they come back, is how they still drip feed him, give him small parts of that. Obviously, he won't have the whole freedom because they'll get the ball in their hands more than the other halves do. But it's how they can sort of keep him consistently in the game. Because, and being on every play, as you said, being busy in and around the ruck. When he's not out the back, he needs to be busy around the ruck, around the offloads. And because for me, the Broncos, they're a team that can create offloads if they want to. They've got good enough players, they're big enough pack to create offloads.
Boys, off the back of that, Toddy, do you it'd be interesting to hear from like a player's perspective back when you were playing. Reece Walsh loses Ezra and Renault and all of a sudden starts seeing a lot more ball, getting a lot more opportunity. Is there a world where like he's having more fun, like he's almost preferring this style of footy? I mean, obviously you'd want to be winning games, but I can see Reece Walsh getting more opportunity. As you said, as these boys have gone, it's turned into the Reece Walsh show again. Is there a world where he's almost preferring these boys being out?
Nah. I wouldn't prefer. It just, I just think it shows his maturity as a leader. It shows that it's cool. Now his team that he needs to deliver when them players are out. If he asks him the question himself, he would rather them in the team because he knows what them players do. It sort of was definitely with Renault. He takes the pressure off the kicking game. I thought even the introduction of Reece Walsh's kicking game has been really good for him, and they'll keep it when they need it. But yeah, I'm sure he'll say himself. But it just shows what kind of player he's becoming. I think he's becoming a mature leader, and all these little things will start. He'll understand what he needs to keep and what he needs to get rid of. But he'll also have him in his artillery up his sleeve to attack when he wants to. He's still got so much growth, Reece Walsh, and it's scary. And I think we've seen it over the last few weeks. Is now that he has a bit of joy on getting on the outside of someone. He's injury-free. He's got no much strapping on his knees anymore. He looks fresh. He's had his hair cut. He's in for a big final series, I reckon.
Yeah, I agree with Toddy. I think he would be relishing in playing better, but I think he's probably also identifying what works for him. He's realising that, putting himself in these positions is best for his own game and best for his team. They've just got to find the balance now. And as Toddy said, that's on Adam Reynolds. Renault's experienced enough to know when to let his little mate run wild and when to pull him back in. And it's a big part of Renault's job to control the tempo of the team. Like Toddy said, they can play with some offloads. That's on Renault a bit to loosen it up when he wants, and then when to tighten them up when they need to build pressure.
Over to our next game of the weekend was the Cronulla Sharks over the Newcastle Knights, 40-16. The Ronald Mulatalo show. We spoke about it last week that he'll get a couple of meat pies this week, and if he got more than a couple, he got himself a treble.
He was unbelievable. Talk about tries of the year. That try when Kennedy skips across and hits Mulatano, back to Kennedy, back to Mulatano. Unbelievable. Teaching people how to play transition footy. We spoke about Walsh's little skip overs, sort of similar type of play. Any loose balls play footy, but fuck, that was unbelievable. But yeah, Mulatano, 3 tries. The Knights actually started quite well. They jumped out to a good start. They were up by 12 points. Sharks had to rally their way back in. Jack Cogger got to a nice 40-20 early. Kicking game early to start the match was good. You sort of felt and sensed that as soon as Cronulla was going to get some momentum and field position, though, they were going to smash that left edge of theirs, and they did. The cut-out ball from Trindle to Mulatano was one of them. Unbelievable. Their shapes on that left edge, we speak about it all the time, is world-class. Yeah, the left edge of the Sharks, impressive every week. Mulatano, 3 tries. I think the difference for the Sharks is Brayley out of dummy half. I think that's their X factor. As good as their halves are, and how well they're playing, and their outside backs, I think the difference is Brayley. And you speak about that threat out of 9. He's got speed. The amount of assists that he's had, we spoke about it before on the show, the amount of assists that he's had. He had Brendan Ueli late in the game, and then his man, Fanua Blake, who's had countless assists to around the middle of the field inside 10. That's the difference. Because they've got so much threat out wide now. We speak about their left edge. We speak about the speed of Kennedy and Mulitano and Trindle and Hines. That's the X factor in big games. You know, the illusion of all that space out wide and then the little 9 playing around with his middles. It's really... You think about big games, Origins and Grand Final, a lot of tries are scored around those little combination plays. So, they're going to be hard to stop Cronulla when they're on. I was impressed with Heinzie too. The last few weeks, he's been really impressive. There's a couple of plays there. There's one that stood out for me where Brayley once again got out of dummy half, played a couple of cross plays, but it was Hines that came through. Hines came through on an inside cross play and he nearly scored. But I love that. He's starting to add his niche to the game. You know, for so long, we spoke about in the pre-game show about recruitment and players and different positions and people expecting a certain role from someone just because they've got a good name or they've been a good player. But this is Hines. And we've seen it. The form increase in Cronulla over the last month and Hines, he's been having his hand in nearly every try and how good he's been playing. They're playing his style now. And I just loved it. It was a small little play within the whole scheme of the 80 minutes, but Brayley gets across, double drop, Hines comes under, like the great Brad Fittler, Todd Carney, Laurie Daly, Ethan Strange, these type of running 5'8", that use their body and footwork around the ruck. I loved it. For me, that's Hines. And it shows to me that he's starting to have his imprint on the team. He's not a player like Nathan Cleary who's going to game manage you to death. He's not going to fucking square up and suck in 3 defenders with his ability to play tempo. He's a runner and he's a smooth runner and he's got assists in him. So it's good to see that.
I think a lot of teams are starting to fall in, not all the time, but they're starting to bring their stronger ball runners, blokes that have got a little bit of footwork. Like you see Strange sometimes they do that Panther play back through and he comes back underneath.
Panther play, yeah.
Yeah, the Bulldogs do it with Matt Burton and obviously now the Sharks have adapted to it by Brayley getting out because he beats the markers so well, gets across the ABC defender really easy. And then a player like Nicho Hines, who's 6 foot, a bit over 6 foot, that's strong ball carrier, all of a sudden when Brayley gets out, the straight away when your hooker gets out in front of you and gets away from you, you've got to go up and you've got to retreat and go out and cover you inside or cover the outside defenders inside. All of a sudden you got someone like Nicho coming back through the middle. It's hard to tackle and it's hard to handle. And then also it changes for then if then Brayley holds the ball, it's going to hold up all those middle inside defenders, and then they'll have Joe on the outside. They'll have plays that they'll combat that, so they'll drop. They won't use Nicho underneath. They'll square back up and play out the back to a Trindle or a Kennedy out the back. So it shows that they've got some tricks to come. I reckon Sharks are a threat if they can get their style of footy on in finals. It'll be just depends how they defend and if they can hold a team.
You know, who's their two best almost players week to week? Talakai and Nikora. Fuck, they're good. Mate, if I'm a half playing with them as my back rowers, they are so good. Got the good balance,
Trindle looked like he was injured for him, which they ended up taking Trindle off towards the end of the game. If he's out for a while, that's a huge loss for Cronulla.
Who's next man up there? I haven't even looked at their depth.
Atkinson,
yeah.
Yeah, he usually comes in for him. It'd be a huge loss. Yeah, he'd be a massive loss if they lose him.
That's the end of him. That's the end of him if he's out. Big call, but
it's a big call.
That's their grand final chances gone.
That's a bit outlandish.
Well, mate, it's hard to argue with that. The Trindle doesn't play. You think they can win a comp?
You haven't seen him without
I'm
him.
with you, Mitch.
Shut up, Gabe.
I'm just saying that's how.
I saw how they played it. I saw how they played at the end of this game. They stopped scoring points as relentlessly when Trindle came off.
Trindle's a grouse.
Yeah, we'll see. Time will tell. All right, let's bounce into our last game of the weekend. Was the Dolphins 36 over the Gold Coast Titans 30.
Dolphins come out 18-0. Trey Fuller was outstanding at fullback. Had his hand in the first try. Second try going into 18. Third try going into 18-0. Him and Hammer just put on the X Factor magic those two together in open space, fuck, it's good to watch. Fuller and Hammer.
Fuller need to start.
There's another two to add to the. I like Hammer there, but you need them both in the team, don't you?
It's the same issue Souths have, isn't it?
A little bit different for me, from my point of view for South. I know what you're saying, but I feel like Latrell for South going to 5'8" is a bigger difference than Hammer going to centres. And
true, yeah.
You know what I mean? But I still understand what you're saying. But I think, you could easily fit Fuller to fullback and Hammer to centre, and it wouldn't affect too much. Latrell to 6 is a bit different, but that's my own opinion. But it was just the weirdest thing about this game was the momentum swings. 18-0 up, and then it was just fucking all Titans. 15-minute onslaught. Brimson, De Groot try, and then the great old man Kieran Foran scores off a offload off Haas under the post. Game on. Coming into the second half, same shit. It's different half, same shit. Fucking Titans coming out of the blocks, Fuller to Katoa. Donahue to Fahu try. He got a double there out on the edge, and then it was back to the Titans last 20, Toddy. The roller coaster. Titans.
The tit for tat.
It was literally tit for tat. 15 minute, 15 minute, 15 minute, 15 minute. And Titans only got the win in the end. Both Fermor, the last dying minutes off a kick. If he gets that down, it's game over. But it was a good game of footy to watch. Exciting game of footy. To be honest, probably didn't expect much different in the way that both these teams have performed. Dolphins leaking close to 160 points in 3 weeks. Titans leaking a whole lot of points majority of the time, and both good attacking teams. So you probably expected this type of game, but man, it was crazy to watch. 18-0 up, 15 minutes later, 18 all. 15 minutes after halftime, Dolphins, and then, Titans nearly ended up coming back and clinching the game. But, I thought Trey Fuller, outstanding. Whether he stays at Dolphins as fullback, if he's not fullback, he's another one you can throw in the mix with Jai Gray on the open market for a team looking for a fullback. There's just so many good fullbacks in the game, and they're fucking good to watch. Who would win a race between Dane Laurie, Trey Fuller, Iongi, Kennedy? There's one for you to think about till our next show, brother.
It's a weird combination.
No, they're all fullbacks.
Yeah, agreed.
They're all fullbacks, and they're
not the fastest
young
fullbacks.
and raw. No, but they're the ones we've been seeing in open space lately. So I just thought
That's fair.
it's an interesting one.
I'll come back to your next show.
It's not Turbo, it's not Teddy, it's not the ones we know. Come back to me, bro. Iongi, Fuller, Dane Laurie, and Kennedy. I want to know the winner.
Them two teams, I'm really looking forward to obviously what your take will be on them and what my take will be. And when we finish the season this year and we dissect, we'll do a review on each team of how their season went. I'm really looking forward to diving into how you unlock both these teams, because they can score points, but they can also leak points. Obviously, one's at the bottom end of the ladder. Dolphins were still fighting for their season. They'll get done by 4 and against, probably more than likely. They won't beat the Raiders this weekend down in Canberra. So it's one of those things, but I'm really looking forward to actually every team when you dissect them, of what your opinions on where their season went wrong and how they can get better next year.
Yeah, I don't know with the Titans, honestly. I see upside for Dolphins. I think you can put, just to answer your question in a short form before we go into it in detail in a few weeks. But I think Dolphins have got excuses. They've had injuries. You know, they've had periods where 4 or 5 of their top starting middles, some of them rep players have been out. So I can understand. I don't understand 160 points in 3 weeks, but I understand some issues there with players out. But the Titans, I can't put my finger on it. But that's why they've signed Josh Hannay, and they're way smarter coaches than we are. So it's one to solve. Looking forward to Titans, though, because it's going to be exciting to see the new page turned over for Titans and where they get to. But good round of footy, brother. All around, it was a good round of footy. congratulations to our Roosters. They've been written off all year, the Roosters. And to Trent Robinson, what a coach. Like, even when they've signed Cherry recently, the blooding of new players, even last week, I thought Melbourne were going to win. We're ex-Roosters, and I genuinely thought Melbourne were going to win. Once again, they come out and blow them off the park, and they found themselves in the top 8. So, yeah, just a shout out from an old Rooster to the great club there for what a win that was. And congratulations for what they've done this year. No one would have expected it. People were writing off Trent Robinson at the start of the year, the great Trent Robinson, let alone making the finals.
That's a wrap for round 26 review. So I'll see you all again next week, footy nerds. Mitchell, I wish you all the well if Leela decides to have that baby in the next few days. If I don't speak to you, we love you, mate, and we wish you all well. We hope you have a beautiful, lovely girl on the way in the next few days. I'll be thinking of you, and I can't wait to see a picture of her. And I just can't wait to see you as a dad. You're going to have that new glow. I love you.
Much love, brother.